Good morning. Let me say it's a pleasure to be here. I'm State Representative Charles Graham. I represent House District 47, which is Robeson County and Lumberton, North Carolina. And we have a group of folks who would like to speak on the issue of coal ash and the removal of coal ash. I think there's still many concerns out in our communities that are affected, certainly in my district, which is the Witherspoon plant in Robeson County. Cleanup is a big concern. Where's the when the process begins, where is the dumping going to be, and where would that occur? There's a lot of concerns out there, and we have several individuals here who would like to comment on the issue. And I would like to begin with Nick from NC Warren. He's going to be take the lead on this, and certainly appreciate you being here, and hopefully we can have your questions answered, and the mission will be accomplished with our group here today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Representative Graham, for being here, your strong support, listening to community members, and helping us out with this room and standing with this group at this historic moment as we strive to find the best solutions and the best way together around this coal ash problem that is not of the people behind me's creation. Welcome, everyone, to the Alliance of Carolinians Together Act Against Coal Ash. Act Against Coal Ash is a newly formed statewide effort led by residents of communities impacted by Duke Energy's coal ash, whether they are currently suffering from the toxic heavy metal-laden ash or are targeted to receive it. We're here to announce today that we're statewide, unified, and here to stay, and are urgently calling upon Duke Energy and North Carolina governmental decision makers, including the General Assembly here, the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Governor McCrory, and Duke Energy. So Duke Energy has been burning coal and creating toxic coal ash for generations, but until very recently, most people who lived near the toxic dumps didn't know that they had millions upon millions of tons of coal ash in their backyard, even if they knew that lots of people around them were sick. But this all changed on February 2nd, Groundhog's Day of 2014, when the dam burst at the Dan River, and North Carolina and the world began to realize that we have a large problem. Since then, community members like those you'll hear from today have been organizing and educating themselves and getting together to engage with local officials and participate in democracy. And you'll hear more from them. Everyone speaking today, other than myself, is a community resident who has grave concerns. And they want clean air and clean water, and they want to be part of the process because they're the real experts on coal ash. And we all need to partner to deal with this horrible problem and move on to a better future and healthy communities for all of North Carolina. So without further ado, I'm actually going to introduce all of our speakers at once so you can see who all you're going to be hearing from today, and then let them take it from there. Following that, we're going to invite Ms. Caroline Armijo from the Blues Creek community up to say a prayer and hear a performance from our very own Raging Grannies, one song. And then we'll open it up for questions for all of you, and again, we thank you for coming. So our first speaker today is going to be Mr. Bobby Jones of the Down East Coal Ash Coalition in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Our second speaker will be Ms. Tracy Edwards of the Blues Creek Residents for Coal Ash Cleanup. Next will be Don Crawley of Environmental Lee in Sanford, North Carolina. And rounding us out will be the amazing Larry Mathis from Belmont, North Carolina, living right next to what you're going to hear so much about. So without further ado from me, I want to turn it over to Mr. Bobby Jones to get us started. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. As Nick said, my name is Bobby Jones. I'm retired from the Department of Health and Human Services with 30 years of service. I'm from Goldsboro in Wayne County, near Duke Energy's H.F. Lee plant and the millions and millions of tons of toxic coal ash, full of known carcinogens like mercury, vanadium, and hexavalent chromium. Independent water testing has found arsenic at 66 times the federal standard in water nearby. And yes, cancer is still the leading cause of death in our community. As a matter of fact, several members of our delegation could not be with us today because since we initiated our coalition only 7 months ago, they've been stricken with cancer. And we ask that you keep them in your prayers. I thank God for the alliance of coalition together against coal ash, the hands that have reached across the state and joined to form a bond. And we are strong. We're demanding that our water, our environment, and the lives of our citizens be put ahead corporate profits and greed. Governor McCrory, we invite you to come to our communities and visit us. We need for you to show us that we are as important to you as Duke Energy. But Governor, while you're in our communities, as of now, if you value your health, please don't drink the water. Members of our legislature, we call on all of you to represent the people you were elected to represent, not Duke Energy. Hear the voices of the people, not the talk of money campaign. Money talks, but we're talking louder. Come to our communities and check on us, but due to the current coal ash poisons, we recommend that if you value your health, please don't drink the water. To the Department of Environmental and Natural Resources, we want to simply remind you that you have stewardship for preservation and protection of our natural resources and public health, preservation and protection of North Carolina and the citizens' natural resources and health, not Duke Energy's bottom line. Come visit us, but if you value your health, don't drink the water. The Alliance of Carolinians Together Against Coal Ash invites the governor, the legislature, DENR, and Duke Energy to partner with us in working through this coal ash problem so all of us can enjoy the life-sustaining resource, clean water, together. In closing, I'd like to paraphrase Hebrews 13:5 and 6. God reminded us to keep our minds free from the love of money and be content with what we have. Comrades, he said he would never leave us or forsake us. So we can say with confidence, I am not afraid. What can Duke Energy do to us? We're getting stronger and bigger every day. Why? Because we love North Carolina and our lives depend on it. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Edwards, and I'm speaking to you today on behalf of the residents of Stokes County in Blues Creek, Walnut Cove, and the Pine Hall communities. We are here today fighting for our environmental justice. We have been exposed to pollutants and toxins from Duke Energy's coal-fired plant for more than 40 years. It has taken a deadly toll on my community over the years. We want Duke Energy to do the right thing and clean it up. These actions are detrimental to our survival. My community, as well as other communities across the state that have coal-fired plants in their backyards, are dealing with cancer clusters, people with neurological problems, respiratory problems that are leading to death of our family members in which we love. The public has been deceived into thinking it is safe to live near these sites, in which they are clearly not. Duke Energy, DENR, Governor Pat McCrory, this is unacceptable. We are statewide and unified. We want a non-toxic solution to eliminate the threat of ongoing contamination in our communities. There are so many people that I grew up with that have been diagnosed with different types of cancers, strokes, including myself, respiratory issues within my community surrounding that coal-fired plant. There are mounds of coal ash on either side of the road, on Pine Hall Road, in which I live, that are covered with grass. Duke Energy has sown it in an attempt to cover up poisonous toxins that are laying beneath that grass. A no cap in place is unacceptable. I fear this country, sooner than later, will resemble a third world country, being stripped of our natural resources that we desperately need to survive. Like my daughter told me after one of our meetings that we attended, "Mommy, I'm scared." And I asked her why. And she said, "Because we need water to live." I would like to give Duke Power, DENR, and Governor Pat McCrory the statement that I came up with. Why can't power companies be smarter than a fifth grader? I'm really tired of going to funerals. I used to visit my mother daily. Now this is where I have to go to visit her. She died prematurely. She was only 64 years old. She grew up with asthma. She had neurological problems with her arm, and she had heart disease. And we have lived in that area for all of our lives. Thank you.
I'm Dawn Crawley from Stanford, North Carolina. I'm representing Lee and Chatham County. I live directly next to Duke Energy's proposed toxic coal ash dump, not the mine reclamation they claim it is. These communities are mixed-race, residential, and agricultural communities. Over 2,000 people live within a half-mile of just the coaling site, including many children and elderly. We will all be in direct contact with the ash flying from the coal ash mountains they propose to put there and the trucks and trains hauling it in. I have one of many farms in the area. I raise chickens, ducks, milk goats, mini donkeys, Aussie pups, and horses, as well as having a garden, fruit trees. My animals drink from a spring-fed pond and creek. My pasture has ponds seeping up from it, so if I have springs, there's springs under their site. While they're filling the site, which take years, we won't be able to open our windows, sit outside, or hang our clothes out to dry. And it's not whether the liners will leak, it's when. Faulty installation, trucks driving over them, rock springs and groundwater seeping up from underneath, plus the bacteria that will eat them. And there are many heavy rains that come through regularly. Land sales in progress have already stopped as buyers backed out. Cancer, health problems, birth defects, and skyrocketing health costs are what we have to look forward to. Who is going to pay for health care, funerals, and plummeting land values that we still have to pay taxes on, which they've gone up on our taxes? Toxic heavy metals will seep from these sites, which is on the Cape Fear River aquifer. And from the wastewater treatment plant, they want Sanford to treat it, which they can't, and sludge fields where they dump the sludge once they're through, contaminating drinking water and groundwater from Sanford all the way back to Wilmington. The ash will be transported hundreds of miles by thousands of underregulated trains and trucks, spreading it along the roads and residential yards all along the way. This is a statewide problem. Once contaminated, you can never truly clean it up, leaving a worthless land as a scar for generations to come. There are better answers than moving and spreading the contamination around. One example is saltification or encasing it in concrete on site. My retirement paradise next to Duke Energy and Charo's limited liability company, Green Meadows, is already becoming a toxic nightmare. We want to be included in decisions resulting in a safe outcome for everyone.
Good morning. There's so much to say, but so little time to say it. My name is Larry Mathis. I live in Belmont, North Carolina, near the Duke Allen plant. I'm the president of the Homeowner Association where I live. We bought our house in 2002 with the intention of living there for the rest of our life. This is our home. Our water company, Aqua, 5 months ago, we heard that people who lived near the Duke Energy's Allen Coal plant had received letters from DENR saying their wells were contaminated and they should not be drinking the water or cooking with it. We had not received the letter and thought we were far enough away to be safe. We pay for our water, which we thought was treated, tested, and safe to drink. Wrong. Our water company, Aqua, sent us a letter saying that our water is safe. Wrong again. Our water had been tested by DENR and learned that it wasn't safe. Our water was found to have 38 times the state standard for vanadium, 26.8 times the standard for hexavalent chromium. After some research, I learned that in 1996, for 10 months, Duke hauled truckload after truckload of toxic coal ash to fill a ravine in our backyard with 278,412 tons of coal ash. Let me say that again. 278,412 tons of coal ash is in our backyard, and it has no liner. The subdivision started being built in 1999, and as I said before, we bought our home in 2002, long after the coal ash was already there. If only we had known what lay ahead. The more I learn, the more concerns I have about health and safety. Our property values have suffered as well. Who wants to live in a place with contaminated water, contaminated land, and dirty air? Coal ash presents very serious hazards to human health and the environment. Just a couple of weeks ago, a study was published in the Environmental Science and Technology showing that coal ash can be radioactive and have up to 10 times more radioactive material than the parent coal it comes from. It states the findings raise significant new concerns for the health and safety of communities living near coal ash disposals and reuse sites. It also states we now know that coal ash, even buried decades ago, may still present very serious hazards to human health and the environment. So far, the best that Duke can do is to provide us with some bottled water, but only for about 2 more months. Having to live off of bottled water is bad enough, but try bathing in contaminated water. Wash your clothes and dishes in contaminated water. Water we are having to pay for. They can do better. Duke says they are not responsible for the water being contaminated, but are being a good neighbor by providing us bottled water.
Shame on them.
But good neighbors don't pollute.
That's right. That's right.
And they take responsibility for their actions. We are customers as well, and along with others across the state, pay billions of dollars to them every year, and yet they say they aren't responsible. How can we trust Duke Energy? Duke just settled a 15-year lawsuit with the EPA over violating federal clean air laws by modifying coal-fired power generators without required air pollution control equipment. They also agreed to plead guilty and pay $102 million in fines and restitutions for 9 criminal violations of the Federal Clean Water Act that was exposed after the Dan River disaster. Trust them? I think not. We did not create this problem. We did not ask for 278,412 tons of toxic coal ash in our backyard. We did not ask for bad air quality and serious health issues. And we did not ask for coal ash to cover our homes and our yards. We, like everyone else in North Carolina, have the right to clean air and clean water. We have asked many questions and gotten no answers. We want answers, and we want action. It's time for Duke Energy to own up to its mistakes and step up to do the right thing. Only then will it be the good neighbor it needs to be. Own up and step up. Together, let's find a solution and find it now. Thank you.
Thank you for those amazing, powerful speeches. So to recognize this solemn occasion, before trying to lighten it up at least a little bit, I want to invite Miss Caroline Armijo, who grew up in the Belews Creek community that you've heard spoken about, and she's got a prayer for us. So,
thank you. Dear great and gracious God, we gather here today on what is certainly a holy day for our nation and our world as we face the uncertainty of the implications of climate change. Throughout the lands, we seek your wisdom and guidance on how to be good stewards of your gifts and make the necessary changes to heal our broken world. Here in North Carolina, as we transition into fall, we specifically ask for your guidance around coal ash, which has been carelessly handled for decades. We have paid the price in poor health, lost loved ones, and consumed radioactive water, air, and land. God, we ask that you hear our collective pleas as we desperately need your help. Dear God, we are so grateful for your many benefits, including the benefits that we have received from the power of the generated electricity. But now we ask to put an end to the pollution of our natural resources, an end to the detrimental health issues, and an end to the environmental injustice that runs rampant throughout our state. We stand here, communities united together, seeking solutions that will not put another community at risk, but will instead be a great blessing for you and our citizens. Lord, we know that you are a revealer of great secrets and mysteries. We ask today, Lord, that you reveal any secrets that need to be unearthed to heal these broken places and prevent any further damage to our state through harvesting fossil fuels like fracking or offshore drilling. Lord, we know that you are the great physician and purifier. We ask today, Lord, that you will heal all of those with known and unknown related health conditions. And we ask that you purify our natural resources of air, land, and water. Lord, we know that you are the great leader. We ask today, Lord, that you will guide us as we stand together for environmental justice throughout our great state of North Carolina. Finally, God, we believe that a God-sized miracle is unfolding among us. We stand here with open and expectant hearts, for you surround us with signs of hope, justice, and love. We are forever grateful. Amen.
So if we could just have a quick moment of silence to reflect, and then, as I said before, we'll lighten it up again a bit. Thank you, and thank you, Caroline, for sharing that with us today. So next, and as soon as this is over, you will have an opportunity to talk to our wonderful speakers and interview if you would like. But we are so privileged to be in a place where we have the Raging Grannies who can bring their spirit and their resilience and really state things in a way that they need to be stated. And so without talking much more, the amazing Raging Grannies.
Thank you, Nick. And I hope I don't disappoint you or the media, but we are not here to lighten things up. There is no way to lighten up this travesty and this tragedy that Duke is imposing on us with their plan to truck coal ash into our communities. And while we might sing our message, it is no less serious than the message of the community members that you have heard preceding us. The grannies are here and it's time for a song to say that Duke Energy's got it all wrong. They've applied for 6 permits to dump their coal ash into poor folks' backyards like it's some sort of trash. But coal ash will leak and our water turn gray if they truck in that poison, so we're raging today. Coal ash is a poison, as everyone knows, and once it's been dumped, you can't stop where it goes. Their dump trucks will roll all the night and the day for 5 years as they haul all that coal ash away. They'll dump it into baggies and declare it contained. But common sense tells us that this is insane. 20 million tons dumped in our neighbors' backyards. A disaster in the making without proper safeguards. Duke says that our water will be safe to drink, but the research all shows that our water will stink. They say it won't happen, but we know what's true. They're protecting their profits while we all get screwed. They'll truck in their filth and we won't have a choice unless we get together and all raise our voice. We have a solution that's safe as can be, and the coal ash could stay right on Duke's property. So liquefy the ash and then turn it into bricks, so it stays where it won't make our grandchildren sick. If containment is safe as Duke claims it to be, then why can't it stay on their own property? We're here to say no to Duke's lack of regard. They can keep all their poison in their own backyard.
So I want to turn it over to Representative Graham again, and then we'll bring the speakers back up.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to the group for coming and obviously sharing your concerns. Thank the press for being here, the media. I think you've heard several concerns raised. Certainly, coal ash is a concern of mine. I live in my district. I live nearby one of the ponds, and I'm certainly concerned. But the forum here today is a way to have our citizens express their concern. I think they've done that very well. I think you've done it with respect, and I certainly thank you for coming. And at this time, we'll allow an opportunity for questions to the speakers. Thank you. Any questions?
I don't know who this would be best addressed to, maybe you, sir, but everybody here knows how the state has addressed the coal ash problem. We know that there have been hearings. We know that they've come up with a bill. We know what the plan is going forward. Why? I guess a two-part question. The timing of this release, is there something that I guess I don't know about as far as the timing is concerned, some new effort? Or two, how is this going to change the course the state is already apparently entrenched in? And you know, I mean, the state's it's on a path. How is this effort going to change that?
Well, just let me make a brief comment. I know this is a culmination of many community meetings out in the areas where the families are affected. I think you're seeing the group come together now to present their concerns as an organized voice. And I think what you're seeing now is groups, individuals coming together that were concerned from the onset of the spill, obviously, and going through the legislative process. Questions still remain with these individuals. Certain concerns are out there. Sure, we've passed legislation. It's on a path, but that does not mean that there are not questions that still remain within our communities, and this is certainly a forum for them to express those concerns. So I think it's a way to allow our citizens to have a voice.
Quick follow.
Thank you.
Quick follow then. I mean, with respect then, it is one thing to voice concerns. It's another thing to call for change and look for answers and action. And what we've heard is the call for change. So, again, how do you turn the grievances, which we've heard, into action? And then how do we get that phone out? You're all right.
You want to?
Sorry, I was a bit distracted there.
So, Nick, I guess the question holds. I mean, how do you turn grievances into action, right?
Well, I think that it takes time for people to come together and learn about the problems that they have, and we have come together in an incredibly powerful way, and people are moving as quickly as they can to spread the word in their communities, and we feel that by getting together we can ask in a unified voice to be dealt with as a whole, because this is a North Carolina problem and we need statewide solutions. And thus far, what we feel are the true experts on coal ash, the people who live right there and are most directly impacted, need to be a part of that process. They need to be at the table. There needs to be some transparency, and quite honestly, every effort needs to be made for our decision makers to live up to what they said, which is making North Carolina the most responsible state in the country and really in the world in dealing with this coal ash problem that has been so long in coming. And without community voices at the table to be heard directly by decision makers who are put in office to represent them and protect the interests of the people of the state, now is the time. And we're growing every day, and this is a start, and we expect to be talking with these folks together.
Statewide and unified.
Right.
You come on, Sarah.
Right. I'm Sarah Kellogg. I work at Appalachian Voices, have been working on the coal ash since before the Dan River spill. And to answer some other elements of your question, one thing to note is that the Department of Environment and Natural Resources has not decided on the prioritization of any of the sites yet besides the 4 that were initially identified in the Coal Ash Management Act. So you heard from Larry Mathis from Belmont, North Carolina, Plant Allen, and also Tracy Edwards from Blues Creek, where the Blues Creek power plant is. Those are 2 of the largest power plants in the state. They're both still active, and Duke has not said anything yet about what they plan to do with the ash, and no decisions have been made with that. There's the potential that they will just cap that ash in place, which will not protect groundwater or the health of these communities. So that right there is one opportunity where everyone could listen and step up.
Do we have any other questions from the media?
Well, I have another quick follow-up.
Okay.
What would be an acceptable solution? I heard something like about a concrete encasement.
Saltification.
I mean, what are y'all looking for? Cap in place, obviously, I'm hearing is not acceptable.
So this group has come together, and we do call for safe, permanent solutions. And the options that it presented are not satisfactory by these standards. It's our position that Duke Energy has billions and billions and billions of dollars that they've made off of the people of North Carolina who have no choice but to pay Duke Energy. And they need to do everything they can to present options and use all the resources that are available in this day and time, and include the people who are involved, and tell people the truth about what's going on and what the options are. And people don't feel that that has been out there yet.
And I like to say, before anything, just based upon the nature of the questions that you're asking, one of the things that needs to be done is to provide some education as to the magnitude of this problem, how serious it is, how massive it is, how much it is destroying our community, how many people are dying as a result of this. This is not something that we can drop a few $1 million and make some nice newsreels and it'll go away. Mm-hmm. This is destroying us. This is killing people in our state. So the first thing that needs to be done primary to anything else. It's education, because a lot of people just like you, they really don't have a grasp of the seriousness and the nature of this problem.
Did you want to go ahead?
Now, I've been to several community meetings. We've met with the state. We've met with Duke was at one of them. They promised they would answer all of our questions. They would even stay after the meeting to answer them. They answered about 2 questions or responded to it. And I asked them, well, what about all that coal ash behind us? How come that's not even on your map that you show? And what are you going to do about it? The guy sat down. Then they left and didn't even stay and answer any more questions and haven't been to any more meetings. The last meeting I went to, I asked several questions. And the director of the health department said, I can't answer any of those. Said, all the questions you've asked is concerning all of this. It covers all of it. But we have no answers for you. So that's why we're trying to come together, because one voice you can hear, but you get a majority saying this is not just one small little area. This is statewide.
Statewide and unified.
All of these wells that they've been testing, we had over 200 wells contaminated in our area. That's several hundred people. This is families. This is children. We're talking something serious about people's health and the environment. And that's why we're coming together, so our voice can be heard, not just little local places.
I just want to pick up on what he just said. This event today gives the communities from all over the state a forum to express their concern. As I said earlier, I've been in meetings with my local constituents back home in Robeson County. I heard my concerns, my constituents' concerns in my county. I've not heard from the folks that you're hearing from today. So this forum gives an opportunity for people to share their concerns and their frustrations. And your question was a good question. You know, we've gone through legislation. There's a plan in place, but does that mean that these citizens are satisfied? Does that mean they're content? It does not, obviously. So this gives them an opportunity to do what we do best in this country, is have democracy, and this is an opportunity for that to happen, and to have an opportunity to speak, and I think that's happened today. And if there's no other questions, if we have any questions, we'll try to answer those, and certainly appreciate everyone being here today and being a part of this. It does clearly indicate that there are still concerns out there, and will we get them resolved today? No, sir. This was not an intent of this meeting, but it was an intent to give the media and give these individuals a forum to express their concerns and to share their message. Any other questions?
Hi, I'm Sue Stearns with the Institute for Southern Studies, and I was wondering, what will the next steps be for the coalition concretely? What do you plan to do? And if there are people out there who are interested, how might they get involved?
I'll let Nick handle that, if you want to do that, Nick.
So, well, you want to announce that you've got the Facebook information. So we can do that.
You want to answer a question?
Sure. Well, so the next steps are to continue to meet. We had a gathering in late July with over 100 people in attendance from all over the state. So this group is a lot larger than what you're seeing here. These are delegates represented. And the goal of that was to come up with our commonalities, our common goals across all these different areas that are dealing with coal ash in different ways. And we were very successful in doing that. So a next step will be to share those unifying principles with everyone, so that all of these decision makers and Duke Energy have something very concrete to look at, to check themselves on whether or not a solution is actually going to meet the community's standards. And we will continue meeting, and if you would like to get involved, you can find us on Facebook, Act Against Coal Ash. And there are groups in many different counties across the state, so wherever you're located, I would encourage you to check it out and see if you're near a pond and can help join those. Like Residents for Coal Ash Cleanup in Stokes County has monthly meetings. Winston-Salem's right there. In Belmont, they have regular meetings. Charlotte's right there. There's plenty of...
Lee and Chatham. Chatham's got a meeting tonight.
Yeah.
Let me make one thing clear. Representative Reeves, who represents Lee and Chatham counties, I think, could not be here. He was out of town. This was organized the first part of this week, and obviously he was out of town, could not be here. And I know he has some concerns about Lee and Chatham counties being selected as sites for the removal of the coal ash. So I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for coming, and I want to thank the group, and hope everyone has a happy and safe day. Thank you for being here.